Okay, Dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we'll be looking at Destroyer Gaze. I'll be showing you guys a T10 version and a T15 version. T10 because I've actually recorded this video many weeks ago. I actually cleared T10 within 6 weeks as a free-to-play player. And T15 is actually more recent. So I just wanted to record the most minimal amount of gears and stats that you need to clear T10, and hopefully this will help out everyone, especially those who are still progressing and trying to clear your T10 as soon as possible. Both T10 and T15 use different teams of heroes, but they are largely the same, maybe just one hero difference. So the team I'm using for T10 is pretty much the very standard team, which I think many of you can already form. This can be your team at the beginning, okay, until you get Biscuit later on. Shane, Rachel, Ace, Evan, and Yuri. Evan and Yuri are very important units because they are the ones that prevent stun and burn from being inflicted on your team. Usually when I enter the battle, I will first cast the shield, followed by Shane's attack, or I use Rachel's Phoenix. In this case, I decide to use Rachel's Phoenix so that my Shane will be able to do decent damage later on. Take note, when this video was made, Rachel and Shane have not been remade, okay, so technically they are better at their jobs now and you should have an easier time. Some people do use Shane's skill earlier because her cooldown is pretty short, so they want to sneak in more of Shane's attacks within this certain time frame. Take note that the boss actually does magic damage. So as you saw a while ago, my Shane actually was pretty lucky to land the crit and weakness hit damage, as you can see again. So this is actually pretty important. Shane herself does have innate crit rate increase, so what you need to do is try to push that crit rate as high as possible, and also to have high weakness hit if possible. Weakness hit is being buffed by Rachel over here, so you have some base weakness hit for your Shane. If your gears can supplement that, that will be very good. Usually after I cast the 3 skills, okay, the shield, the Phoenix and Shane's skill, I will then heal with Yuri, because Yuri's heal is very important to sustain the entire team. Although she doesn't have the best healing skill, but you know, you still need it for the passive healing. Thereafter, I will use Rachel's single target. Rachel's single target is useful in the sense that it actually helps to decrease the dragon's attack so that you actually take less damage. So Destroyer Gaze is pretty basic, I would say, pretty simple. It's just about rotating your skills between Evan, Rachel and Shane and healing with Yuri. Yuri's healing cooldown is pretty long, so whenever it's usable, try to use it. As you can see, my Ace is on the verge of dying, and I have to disclaim that at this point in the game, 6 weeks into the game back then, my gears were not fantastic and I kind of neglected Ace and Rachel. Do I regret it? Well, not really, because I still can clear the content, but I think all of you can learn from this later on when I show you my gears. You will see how much, okay, what's the minimal threshold that you should have on your Ace and Rachel so that they will be able to lift the rate. As you can see, Rachel also revived. So a lot of this, you know, a lot of the times back then when I was doing this raid, I was a little struggling because my Shane's damage as well, it wasn't that amazing. So I was really struggling to use Evan to shield and then sustain as much as you can. As you can see, because Evan and Yuri have very high transcendence levels, thanks to them being rare units, okay, they tank a lot better than your legendary units that are only at very low transcendence. So right now, I'm very close to winning. Yuri has fallen as well, very unfortunately, but thankfully Shane managed to clutch it with her damage. So Shane is gonna do a lot better right now. As you can see, my Shane was only T1 back then. Okay, you do get a free Shane at day 20 upon logging in. So as you can see, my Rachel's gears, they are absolutely disgusting because they're only at 5 star. I didn't even have 6 star gear back at that point. These are her stats, okay? This is the minimal level that you should have. Later on, I'll show you guys a very different upgraded version of my Rachel for T15, because the gap between T10 and T15 was about 3 months. So you definitely, I mean, unfortunately for global players, T15 is already here, so it's kind of like a push all the way, but you can also follow the best team, you know, if you do get the right units. For my Evan, he's on defense gear because defense stats makes his shield a lot better and it can tank more damage. Okay, and I also enhance his shield skill to increase the barrier amount and also his passive, which gives more defense boost to your entire ally team. Also, his gears are not amazing, they are only 5-star. I also forgot to mention that you can also use Seek, okay, if you want to use him over Evan for stun immunity, because Seek actually also got buffed and he is much better at his job at buffing Shane in terms of physical attack increase, and he overall is also a good sub DPS for the dragon, for Destroyer Gaze, so he is a good option as well. For my Shane, I was actually using the crit set because I didn't have enough crit on her. She does have a certain percentage, 41% crit rate on her passive after being enhanced as well. So all you need is about 59% more. As you can see, I'm not hitting 59% on the screen, not including the passive. So if you have 59% there, you are good. Her main stats are mainly crit damage and crit rate, and the main stats on the armor are all attack percentage. Try your best to give substats that are all related to attack increase. Attack percent, you know, weakness hit, crit rate, crit damage, these are the best. You don't need speed for her, you don't need defense for her. And then for Ace, his gear is also very pathetic back then. All 5-star. I was considering giving him block rolls, okay, and block main stat, but as you can see here, the main stats are also very terrible, all HP percent, and I'm just trying to boost his sustainability as much. There's even a flat stat one, so it's really not amazing, and there's so much room you can improve. But you know, with such gears, you can also clear T10, so I think that is quite a feat as well. You have Yui here, she's on a HP set, all skills enhanced. HP set with HP percentage for her main stats, because Yui's heal is based off her HP percent. So the higher HP she has, the more she can passively heal your team. That's the most important thing about her. Okay, and you want to enhance her skills because all her skills when enhanced will give you very good effects that let you sustain even better. For the pets wise, I'm using Irin here, but you can use the free Kroa for more attack as well. They are kind of doing the same thing. If you don't have Kroa and you want to build another pet, that would be Sherry, the cat, the black cat. Otherwise, you can also try to use Nina. Nina also buffs crit rate for your team. So if your Shane is not high in crit rate, you can actually use Nina as well. For Irin, those that are lucky and get Irene actually buffs physical attack by quite a substantial amount. Next up, I'll show you guys how I set my auto if you want to do auto for T10. Usually I set the first skill as the revive so that in case anyone dies, Yui will revive. Take note that Yui will not use the revive skill if nobody dies, so don't worry about that. Next one will be Evan's shield to give more tank and bulk to your team, then the Phoenix, and then Shane's skills. Very similar to how I ran my skills physically, you know, during the manual run just now. Then followed by Yui's heal and Rachel's single target. So that's about it. Next up, we have the T15 run. T15 launched 3 months after the game launch. So at that point, they released Biscuit together with the rest. As you can see here, my units are substantially improved. Rachel is T4, Shane is T4, Biscuit is T2. The rest are Revan and Yui are T12. And T12 makes a huge difference for rare units, so if you can, make that your priority after you have done most of your rare units. So I usually start with the same skills. I start with the shield to provide more defense and bulk for my team, and then I also use Biscuit's bottom skill. Biscuit's bottom skill is very powerful. It increases your top DPS's weakness hit rate by 54% if I'm not wrong. Okay, and then I'll use Phoenix. So at this point, your Shane is very stacked. Not only does your Shane get weakness hit rate increase from Rachel's passive and Biscuit's active skill, if you have weakness hit rate on your gears, this can push almost up to 100%, and then the crits coming in, you know, assuming you already push her crit to 100% by this point, you know, her damage will be very consistent. Thereafter, I actually use healing skill with Yui's healing skill, and then I will use Rachel's bottom skill. So I'm doing this raid as if I'm doing the auto raid, so that you know that later on when you set your auto, this will work. This skill Q will work, okay? So as you can see, after Rachel's bottom skill is used, it will cycle back to Shane. I'm sorry for the lag here. Then after that, it will go back all the way to Evan's shield. And then the next skill used will be the Phoenix. I mean the Biscuit's bottom skill to buff. It actually lasts for 5 turns, so it's okay to use it early because Rachel's debuff lasts shorter. So you want to queue it as close as possible to Shane's single target. So this is something you also need to keep in mind when you are thinking of queuing skills. You should queue the skill with the longer duration earlier and then buff with the shorter durations nearer to your DPS's skill. 6 skills. This raid only uses 6 skills. That's all you need. Cycle between these 6 skills. I think the key thing for this raid will be your Shane's stats. Because at this point in the game, okay, if you are able to reach that high in the raid tiers, I think your units should be pretty decked out by then. At least for me, that was the case. So what matters is your Shane's damage output. You need to make sure that the crit rate and weakness hit rate can hit very high percentages in order to have consistent damage, because the moment Shane misses a crit, or yeah, especially when she misses a crit, she does no damage. Okay, so you have to take note of that. Also, one thing I mentioned that in the video before, Shane wasn't remade, so the damage output you see here is her remade version. So based on her remake, she's actually able to do more damage based on the number of debuffs on the boss. So that is why she's hitting a lot harder and a lot better compared to before. So with that, we defeated the boss, and I'm going to show you guys the gear setup right now and the stats. How much has changed. Rachel, I enhanced all her skills. To be honest, you don't have to, because the only important thing is the Phoenix. If you get the Phoenix enhanced and maybe the passive, then you are fine. She's on a complete block rate, block set, okay, with as much defense and HP percent as possible, with the armors having block rate percentage. The substats really, honestly, you can't control that much because they are random, right? So mainly I'm looking at the main stat first, then I look at whether the substats are more defensive based or not. So as I was mentioning, the passive, after enhancement, it actually increases her weakness hit chance boost to 17%. Before that it was a lot, not a lot lower, but definitely lower. And the defense reduction and physical vulnerability inflicted on the enemy is very important here for Shane to do bigger damage. So that is why I was trying my best to enhance the Phoenix. Unfortunately, all the rest got enhanced before the Phoenix, so I had to enhance all her skills in the end, which is kind of like a waste of brilliant enhancement skills if you were to ask me. Now if you realize, in T10 I didn't have to enhance her skills at all to clear it, because back then people actually didn't feel like Rachel needed skill enhancement to be able to clear raids. For Evan, he's on defense stats still, okay, with defense percentages as the main stats. If you have defense percentages in your substats, that's even better, so that his shield is actually a lot tankier. You can see that I also enhanced his single target skill, but that is absolutely not necessary. Okay, it only boosts the damage of the stun hit. Next we have Biscuit. She's the new addition to the team. I'm running her on a full block rate as well. Block actually does very good damage reduction in your PvE because it halves all the crit damage. So all of Biscuit's enhancements are very useful. She actually can decrease defense of the enemy passively like Ace and Vanessa, and she also at T2 gives you quintuple damage reduction, and then her buff skill increases weakness hit percentages by a lot. So that's something that you definitely need to have, especially the boss target damage increase as well. Her top skill is not that necessary to be enhanced. For Yui, HP gears with HP percentages on the main stats so that she heals more, and then you also want to enhance her skills because of the continuous healing buff, and she also is able to give your Shane physical damage dealt increase, physical damage boost increase when she uses the healing skill. So some people may actually think of using Yui's healing skill before using Shane's skill, and I've tried that myself. The skill rotation is absolutely messed up. Okay, so please, if you can, if you want to give it a try, go ahead, but I recommend not to, because I feel that just now how I use the skills is the perfect timing for this boss. And then for Shane, I've actually moved on to using the boss. So this actually lets her deal more damage, but you can see that my crit rate is actually pretty high because my main stats are both on crit rate. Because otherwise, one on crit damage and one on crit rate. So in the event that you are using a weapon piece with crit rate and crit damage, you have to make sure that your substats give enough crit rate to boost her crit rate to about 59%. Currently I'm at 55%, so there's a 4% chance that she may not crit. Okay, I'm willing to take that risk because I don't have any better pieces. Again, for the pet, you can actually use Sherry if you don't have, or if your crit rate is not great, then use Nina. Otherwise, Kroa is also okay for more attack percentage. Okay, these are all attack boosting pets which are really good for the raid. So next up, I'll show you guys the auto for T15. Same thing like I did. This is exactly the same skill rotation that I used during the manual run, which is why I said that it's better if you try to practice your skill rotation when you're fighting it manually and see how that actually can translate into your auto run, so that when you need to, you can actually run raids in the background while you're pushing your adventure or doing your arena, so on and so forth. So same thing, I will shield first, cast the buff, cast Phoenix, Shane will use her attack. This will push Shane's damage to potentially maximum. Then I will heal and then use Rachel's bottom skill to complement extra damage and reduce the damage I take. So with that, I come to the end of this video. I hope it helped in terms of explaining how Destroyer Gaze works. All you need to do is remember to gear your Shane well and you should be fine. If you have any questions, do leave them in the comments below and give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much and see you!